April 18, 1943, 9:35 a.m., Bougainville Island. The sun burns through the morning haze above the Solomon Islands. 16 P-38 Lightning fighters cut through the air at 50 feet above the Pacific. They've been flying for over 2 hours. Radio silence. Compass. Time. Airspeed. Nothing else. Major John Mitchell checks his watch. They're supposed to arrive at 9:35 a.m. It's 9:34. Then, a voice cracks over the radio. "Bogies! 11 o'clock, hi!" 2 bombers. 6 escorts. Exactly as intelligence predicted. In the lead bomber, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor, commander of Japan's combined fleet, sits calmly in his seat. His white-gloved hand rests on his katana sword. He has no idea the Americans have been reading his mail for months. He has no idea 16 P-38s have flown nearly 1,000 miles just to find him. And he has absolutely no idea what's about to happen. The P-38s drop their belly tanks. Throttles slam to the firewall. Seconds. That's all it takes. One burst of concentrated machine gun fire. The bomber's right wing explodes. The aircraft spirals into the jungle below. Admiral Yamamoto, the man Japan believed invincible, is dead before the plane hits the ground. The Japanese never expected this. They never expected the P-38 Lightning. Go back 4 years earlier. January 27, 1939. A prototype aircraft lifts off from March Field in California. Twin booms. Central nacelle. No conventional tail. It looks like something from a science fiction magazine. Test pilot Benjamin Kelsey is at the controls. The plane is fast. Dangerously fast. Faster than anything the United States Army Air Corps has ever flown. Kelsey pushes the throttle. The twin Allison engines roar. The needle climbs. 350 miles per hour. 380. 400. This is the XP-38, the prototype of what will become the Lightning. Clarence Kelly Johnson designed it. The same Kelly Johnson who would later create the State Route 71 Blackbird. He was only 28 years old when he drew up the plans for the P-38. The Army wanted an interceptor. Something that could fly higher and faster than any enemy aircraft. Something that could climb to 20,000 feet in 6 minutes. Kelly Johnson gave them something better. But almost nobody believed it would work. 2 engines on a fighter? Unheard of. Most fighters were single-engine, single-seat machines built for agility, not raw power. The P-38 was different. Heavier. More complex. More expensive. Critics said it would be too difficult to fly. Too temperamental. Too dangerous. They were right about the danger. On February 11, 1939, just 2 weeks after its maiden flight, Kelsey attempted to set a transcontinental speed record. He flew the XP-38 from California to New York in 7 hours and 2 minutes. Then the engines failed. Kelsey crash-landed at Mitchell Field. The prototype was destroyed. But the Army had already seen enough. They ordered 13 test aircraft. And then World War II began. December 1941. Pearl Harbor. America enters the war. The P-38 Lightning finally enters combat, but not in the Pacific. In Europe. August 14, 1942. Over Iceland. A P-38 pilot intercepts a German Focke-Wulf FW-200 Condor patrol bomber. for .50 caliber machine guns mounted in the nose. One 20mm cannon, all firing in parallel. 409 rounds per minute pour into the Condor. It's the first American shoot-down of a German aircraft in World War II. The P-38 has arrived. But in Europe, it struggles. Early P-38s suffer from a critical flaw. They lose elevator control in dives. The very tactic that gives them their greatest advantage becomes a death sentence. Pilots push into a dive, then can't pull out. The cold doesn't help. At high altitude over Europe, engines freeze. Cockpits turn into ice boxes. Pilots black out from lack of oxygen. German pilots learn to exploit the P-38's weaknesses. They mock it. Call it easy prey in a turning dogfight. But they also fear it. The Luftwaffe gives the P-38 a nickname. Der Gabelschwanzteufel, the fork-tailed devil. One German pilot, hysterical and terrified, lands at an Allied camp in Tunisia. He points to the sky and repeats the name over and over. The P-38 is a paradox. In Europe, it's misunderstood, misused. Pilots try to dogfight with it, turning battles against nimble German fighters. That's not what the P-38 was built for. It was built for speed, for altitude, for boom and zoom attacks, dive from above, strike hard, climb away before the enemy can respond. But in early 1943, most American commanders don't understand this yet. So the P-38 is relegated mostly to reconnaissance missions. High-altitude photo runs over Europe. Important work, but not what the aircraft was truly capable of. Then the Pacific changes everything. The Pacific theater is different. Vast distances. Endless ocean. Island-hopping campaigns where a single fighter needs to fly for hours over water. The P-38's twin engines become an asset. One engine fails? You could limp home on the other. Its range becomes legendary. With drop tanks, it can fly over 1,000 miles. No other American fighter in 1942 can do that. Not the P-40 Warhawk. Not the P-39 Airacobra. Not the F-4F Wildcat. Only the P-38. General George Kenney commands the 5th Air Force in the Southwest Pacific. He's based in New Guinea. He desperately needs fighters that can reach Japanese positions hundreds of miles away. In November 1942, one squadron, the 39th Fighter Squadron of the 35th Fighter Group, arrives with P-38s. Kenney is thrilled. He can't get enough of them. December 27, 1942. The P-38s fly their first combat mission over the Pacific. They establish immediate air superiority. Japanese pilots, accustomed to dominating the skies in their nimble A-6M0 fighters, suddenly face something they'd never encountered before. The P-38 is faster, climbs higher, packs more firepower. And unlike the P-39s and P-40s that struggled against Zeros in turning dogfights, the P-38 doesn't need to turn. It dives, fires, climbs, escapes. The Zero can't follow. American pilots quickly learn the right tactics. Loiter at high altitude. Wait for Japanese formations below. Then strike like lightning, hence the name. The Japanese Zero is agile, maneuverable, deadly in close combat. But it's also lightly armored. One burst from a P-38's concentrated nose guns can tear it apart. The P-38's guns are mounted in the nose, not the wings. That means all the bullets travel in parallel. No need to calibrate convergence. A pilot can fire accurately at any range. Dick Bong, who will become America's top ace, flies directly at his targets. Sometimes so close he flies through the debris of his own kills. On one occasion, he collides with an enemy aircraft. He claims it as a probable victory. The P-38 isn't just effective. It's devastating. By early 1943, Japanese airmen began to fear it. Saburo Sakai, one of Japan's most celebrated fighter aces, later admits that the P-38 destroyed the morale of the Zero fighter pilot. But the Japanese still believe they can win. They still believe their leadership is untouchable. They still believe Admiral Yamamoto, hero of Pearl Harbor, strategic genius, naval mastermind, is invincible. They're about to learn otherwise. April 14, 1943. Station HYPO. Pearl Harbor. The U.S. Navy's Signals Intelligence Unit. Marine Corps Colonel A. Brian Red Laswell is on duty. He's reviewing intercepted Japanese radio transmissions. Hundreds come in every day. Most are routine. Then he sees one marked CNC, Combined Fleet. Commander-in-Chief, Combined Fleet. That's Yamamoto. Laswell and cryptographer Joseph Finnegan worked through the night. The message is encoded in JN-25D, the Japanese naval cipher the Americans have secretly broken. Hour after hour, they decode it. Finally, they have it. The message is from Commander Yasuji Watanabe, Yamamoto's staff officer. It contains his boss's complete itinerary for an inspection tour of forward bases in the Solomon Islands. Date: April 18, 1943. Departure time: 6 a.m. from Rabaul. Arrival time: 9:45 a.m. at Belaley Airfield, near Bougainville. Aircraft: 2 Mitsubishi G4M Betty bombers. Escort: 6 A-6M0 fighters. Everything. The Americans have everything. Laswell rushes the decoded message to Intelligence Officer Edwin Layton. Layton reads it. His eyes go wide. He sprints down the hall to Admiral Chester Nimitz, commander of the Pacific Fleet. Nimitz reads the message. Then he sends it to Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox. Knox delivers it to President Franklin Roosevelt. The president's response is immediate and unambiguous. Get Yamamoto. April 17, 1943. Henderson Field, Guadalcanal. Major John Mitchell, commander of the 339th Fighter Squadron, is called to a briefing. The operations dugout is packed with high-ranking officers, admirals, generals, intelligence officers. They tell Mitchell the mission: intercept Admiral Yamamoto. Shoot him down. Kill him. Mitchell is stunned. They show him the decoded message, the flight plan, the exact time and location. Mitchell does the math in his head. Belaley Airfield is 400 miles away. To avoid Japanese radar, they'll need to fly a roundabout route, 600 miles out, 400 back. 1,000 miles total. That's beyond the range of every American fighter in the theater. Except one. The P-38 Lightning. Even with dropped tanks, the mission will push the P-38s to their absolute limit. They'll have maybe 10 minutes over the target. 10 minutes to find Yamamoto, engage, and get out. After that, they'll run out of fuel. Mitchell calculates the odds of success, 1,000 to 1. But orders are orders. He selects 18 P-38s, 16 for the mission, 2 spares. For aircraft will be the Killer Flight, led by Captain Thomas Lanpher. Their job, shoot down the bombers. The other 12 will provide top cover, stationed at 18,000 feet to fend off any Japanese fighters from nearby Kahili airfield. Intelligence reports the Japanese have 75 Zeros on Bougainville. Mitchell expects 50 to 75 enemy fighters to swarm them. He briefs his pilots. Most are young, inexperienced, nervous. He tells them the truth. This is a suicide mission. But if they succeed, they'll kill the man who planned Pearl Harbor. The pilots agree. Mitchell plans the route with obsessive precision. 5 legs. Compass headings. Timings down to the minute. Everything calculated using a map, a compass, and a wristwatch. No radar. No GPS. Just dead reckoning over 600 miles of open ocean. They'll fly at 50 feet, low enough to avoid Japanese radar, high enough to avoid the waves. If Mitchell's navigation is off by even a few degrees, they'll miss Yamamoto entirely, or run out of fuel trying to find him. The mission is set for April 18, 1943. Exactly 1 year after the Doolittle raid on Tokyo. April 18, 1943. 7:25 a.m. Henderson Field. The P-38s roared down the runway. 2 aboard immediately. 1 has a flat tire. Another's drop tanks won't feed fuel. That leaves 16. Mitchell leads them out over the water. Formation tight. Altitude 50 feet. The ocean blurs beneath them. Some pilots count sharks. Others count driftwood. Mitchell stays focused. Compass. Time. Airspeed. It's hot. Sweltering. The cockpit feels like an oven. 2 hours pass. No radio contact. Complete silence. Mitchell checks his watch. They're approaching Bougainville. He gives the signal. The P-38s begin to climb. 9:34 a.m. Then, Lieutenant Douglas Canning breaks radio silence. Bogies! 11 o'clock. Hi! Mitchell's navigation is perfect. They're 1 minute early. There, at 4,000 feet, 2 Betty bombers. Above them, 6 Zeros in a loose V formation. Mitchell's voice crackles over the radio. Get the bombers. Damn it all, the bombers. The Killer Flight drops their external tanks and accelerates. Captain Lanpher and Lieutenant Rex Barber peel off toward the bombers. But the Japanese have spotted them. The Zeros dive. The bombers split apart. One dives for the jungle, the other tries to escape over the water. Lanpher engages the Zeros head-on. A bold, some would say reckless, move. Barber goes after the first bomber. It's diving fast. Pulling away. Barber pushes his throttle to the firewall. The P-38 screams. He closes the distance. 200 yards. 150, 100. He lines up the shot. His finger squeezes the trigger. For .50 caliber machine guns and 120mm cannon erupt. Bullets rip into the Betty's right engine. The engine explodes. Flames pour from the wing. The bomber loses control. It cartwheels into the jungle below. Rex Barber pulls up hard. His P-38 shudders from the G-forces. Below, the wreckage burns. In the wreckage, still strapped in his seat, white-gloved hand clutching his katana sword, is Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto. 2 bullets struck him. 1 in the shoulder. 1 through his jaw. He was dead before the plane hit the ground. The second bomber is shot down moments later by Lieutenant Besby Holmes. It crashes into the ocean. One P-38, piloted by Lieutenant Raymond Hine, is lost. No one knows exactly what happened. He simply vanishes. The entire engagement lasts less than 5 minutes. The surviving P-38s turn for home. They're low on fuel. Critically low. Some pilots nurse their engines, leaning the fuel mixture to stretch every gallon. They make it back to Henderson Field with vapor in their tanks. Mission accomplished. April 19, 1943. A Japanese search party finds the wreckage. Yamamoto's body is discovered, still seated, still dignified, still holding his sword. An autopsy confirms the cause of death: 2 gunshot wounds. He died instantly. The Japanese military is devastated. Yamamoto wasn't just a commander. He was a symbol. A hero. The man who had humiliated America at Pearl Harbor. And now he's gone. Killed by American fighters. Killed in his own territory. The news is kept secret for over a month. Japan can't admit the loss. It would shatter morale. But word leaks. Japanese pilots hear rumors. American fighters ambushed Yamamoto. Shot him down in seconds. The morale of the Imperial Navy never recovers. After Yamamoto's death, Japan loses every major naval engagement in the Pacific. Midway. The Marianas. Leyte Gulf. They never regain the strategic initiative. Meanwhile, in the United States, the story of Operation Vengeance leaks to the press. Time magazine publishes an article about the mission. It names Captain Lanpher as the pilot who shot down Yamamoto. The U.S. Navy is furious. It's a massive security breach. The Japanese can't know the Americans broke their codes. As punishment, Major John Mitchell, who had been nominated for the Medal of Honor, is downgraded to the Navy Cross. The same award is given to all the pilots of the killer flight. But a controversy begins. Who actually shot down Yamamoto? Lanpher claims he did. His report says he saw the bomber's right wing blown off by his gunfire. But Rex Barber disputes this. His account, and the physical evidence, suggests he fired the fatal shots. The Japanese autopsy report shows Yamamoto was shot from behind. That matches Barber's attack run, not Lanpher's. Japanese Zero pilot Kenji Yanagiya, who escorted Yamamoto's bomber, confirms he saw a P-38 attack from the rear. Years later, the controversy is revisited. In 1985, a Victory Credit Board reviews the evidence. They conclude Rex Barber deserves sole credit for shooting down Admiral Yamamoto. But by then, Lanpher has spent decades claiming the kill. He writes books, gives interviews, builds a political career on it. He dies in 1987, still claiming credit. Barber dies in 2001, vindicated but bitter.